Well, no
How's your
worries.
how's your
I'm
Friday
here.
going?
It's going. I actually have my little glass of wine right here. Today was supposed to be my grad school graduation and it got canceled because of COVID. So
Oh
I'm having my own little like celebration, my
man,
own
I
little
should have.
celebration at home.
I needed
So
some wine, but I'll just take the cap off.
the
Say
water.
congratulations to you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much. I have my glass right here. Yes.
Yes. Congrats. That's a big accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Was it
So,
your MBA?
yeah, my MBA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang. Look at you. I aspire one day. One day.
You know what? Really think long and hard before you start it because it is a long journey. And I think it might have taken minutes off my life, but you know what? I guess it was worth it in the end.
And now you got
It
the
definitely was
MBA
worth
on
it.
the back of the name, just
Exactly.
there you
Exactly.
go. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in to Be Great, Good to Great, where we're highlighting people in their careers, talking about their journeys. I have the wonderful Zakiyyah with me. You can see pinned in the comment, I have her IG. So if you guys ever want to go and follow, go ahead and do that there. She's the founder and CEO of A Woman's Work. But I want you, Zakiyyah, to introduce yourself, give a little bit of background to the people who are listening, and
Yeah.
what you do today.
Yeah. So, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Zakiyyah Ali, and I'm the founder and CEO of A Woman's Work. I I started A Woman's Work maybe about a year and a half ago. I was working a 9 to 5 job, and I actually still work a 9 to 5 job. But in that current time, or in that time, I was not in a very happy work environment. And so I was commuting over 2 hours a day to get to and from work. I also started my MBA program, and then I was also dealing with some like health issues at the time. And I think one day, oh, and I had like a death in the family, and so
Mm-hmm.
one day it was just too much, and I just kind of had like a bit of a mental break. And once that mental break happened, I was just like, this cannot keep happening for me. Like I can't continue on living my life this way with just not being happy. Like I just wasn't happy. And I think that's really where the foundation of A Woman's Work started. I wanted to create something that was motivating for women, um, and help them if they're in a situation like what I was in, help them to kind of feel encouraged and empowered to kind of go off on their own. And, there were questions that I asked myself when I was actually not in a happy place. I was thinking to myself, like, why is society this way? Why are we, working to build someone else's dream instead of our own? We have one life to live, and we're not doing everything that we can to pursue all of our goals and our dreams. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that's really where A Woman's Work came into play. And so, for those of you who don't know, A Woman's Work is um, business consulting. So I help women start their own businesses, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're looking to start your side business while working a 9 to 5 job, or you're looking to transition. I help to create a business plan for you. And I do that primarily through workshops. But currently during COVID, I'm in the process of trying to figure out a way to make online courses available, and then an interactive workbook that goes along with the online courses. And so it gives you step by step on how to create a business plan. So it helps you to set goals and then make those goals into actionable steps. So, yeah.
So from the MBA that you're doing now, again, congratulations on graduating.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Has that helped with
you.
fostering or like doing things for your business, especially during quarantine? Has that helped?
So yes, I think the entire time, and I probably can talk about this a little later, but the entire time throughout my program, my my degree is my master's in business with a concentration in social entrepreneurship. So
Mm.
making a difference in society by starting your own business and not making it kind of like a like gross business, business where you do a business transaction and you're just like, that was gross. Like I'm trying to be impactful. I'm trying to empower people, and I'm trying to make them feel like they can accomplish something and gas them up,
Mm.
And so that was what I wanted to do when I started even getting into the MBA program.
Mm.
But definitely throughout the entire program, it helped me to structure a business plan and understand what it takes to actually start a business. And it also helped me to figure out what my role is in society as a woman in the workforce. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
understand, you know, I work a 9-to-5 job now. It really gave me perspective as far as where I stand in the world and what my potential could be. And so I think that that definitely helped me significantly. And I think that that was what I wanted to do, was to kind of take those tools and those gems that I gained from my program and create a program that's more affordable for women who can't necessarily go through the same process that I went through, and make it affordable, you know. So yeah, definitely it helped me tremendously.
Way more affordable, I'm sure, than grad school too.
Yeah. I'll find out in 6 months. I'll let you know. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for everybody that's just joining into the live, you haven't interacted in one of these lives before, it's meant to be very interactive, right? So please, if you have questions for Zakiyyah, put them in the comments or in the Q&A box, and then we'll pull them up and ask them as they come in. So I saw your article, right, by Voyage Denver, and
Yeah.
you were talking about your why earlier, but I wanted to quote something, because I think for me, as women, we all struggle with this, right? So it says, for what you said, have you ever wondered why the world is the way it is? For example, why is it okay for us to burn ourselves out every day? Why is that considered an accomplishment? Why is it okay to work until you are too old and tired to live out your best years? Why isn't time with family, hobbies, passion projects a priority? Why do we have to make this life so complicated and just accept it for the way that it is, right? Like, I think that's something that everybody is like, man, when you're being productive and you're so, or maybe just being busy, not productive, right? You're being busy. Everybody's like, oh my God, like you're the man or you're the woman, you're grinding, right? You're living your best life. And it's like, these people are unhappy.
Yeah.
And their corporate careers are probably making decent money, but they're unhappy because they're sacrificing things that really, you know, fulfill them. So why, and I wanted to dig a little deeper with you about, why do you think that we do this, right? Is it because we get that instant gratification from like our parents and our grandparents or people around us? Like, why do you think that we're kind of wired backwards?
I think our entire lives we've been conditioned to prepare ourselves to work for other people. So like in school, even when you're younger, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And even when you're getting ready to go away to college, you're thinking about what career you want to pursue. You're preparing yourself to be able to develop skills, to be able to be appealing for someone else, instead of just nurturing your natural talents and your strengths. And I don't know. I think that if we just thought a little bit more about what comes naturally for us and how we feel, and we acted those things out, a lot of people, I think, would be much happier. And it just seems like we don't take enough time to just enjoy the things that that just make us who we are, make us unique. And I think that would be the only. Repeat your question again, because I got all of my thought process and I got all deep. Say it again. So
It was
saying,
just, why do you think we think, like, you know, backwards? But I think you answered it correctly, right? It's more,
yes.
or in the best
I'm
opinion,
starting to go off in a whole nother direction. I'm like, I need to reel it back in, because I can go much deeper than that. But
But
yes.
no, you're true, right? As we were being raised, it's like we pick one career, right? I want to be a fireman or a firewoman, right?
Exactly.
Like, okay, great, but it's like, I can't be an entrepreneur and do that and do something else on the side, right? They're like, no, you seem a little scatterbrained, right? Like, pick one and just run with that career. Or like you said, right, you have to grow and work for somebody first, right? Why can't I have my own thing and run with that? All right. Why can't I be an entrepreneur? And that's, I mean, for me, when I was growing up too, as I entered into college, I was like, I don't see entrepreneurship as a career field. Also, why would I major in that if I want to work for somebody else?
Exactly. And I never really took entrepreneurship seriously growing up. I used to think, oh, that's just a job. People are going door to door. They're trying to make it. They have nothing else better to do. But as you get, you know, in my maturity, you realize it's a valuable piece of me. It's a valuable piece of me that I'm able to kind of step off on my own and represent what my dreams and my passions are, and connect with other people who have similar thoughts. You know, I think we're in such a strange time, at least for me, I'm 28. So I'm in such a strange time in my life where, you know, you're thinking about maybe starting a family or settling down. And then you also kind of want to, you've have enough experience now where you kind of want to thrive in your career. And you're thinking like, what do I want to do? It's overwhelming. And we put so much pressure on ourselves to be the ideal, you know, businesswoman. But really, are we really looking within it to see what actually makes us happy and what is going to actually be fulfilling for us in the long run? And are we developing any type of generational wealth? You know, I think I'm thinking about what I can pass down to my children one day, and what can be looked at. Like once we're gone, right? But looking back, when we look back at what we've accomplished, I want to be able to say that I lived a happy life, and I lived my life to the fullest. And I think me using my best years when my body is banging, you know, you know, and when I'm using my best years working for someone else and making myself sick, I think, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing anybody who does work a 9-to-5 job. I still work a 9-to-5 job and I love it. But, you know, at the end of the day, you look at how our world is set up, and it's set up around greed. Even now with everything going on with COVID, you know, the fact that businesses are opening back up when we're really not entirely sure, and I won't get too deep into that, but when we're not really entirely sure what direction this virus is taking, you know, you're thinking about the motivation behind why we're opening up these businesses. And I think money is such a driving force, and we give money too much power over our happiness. And we really need to think about what it is that's the most important, especially now. I think it's more apparent now than ever. What's most important in our lives? Our family, our health, our happiness, our sanity, right? And I think if you figure out a way to bring that into your career, that's considered success. We got to change the way that we look at what success really is. And that's really what it's about for me.
You're dropping these gems, girl. And I think what you're talking about too, right? I don't think you're ever knocking a career, right? I think you're talking about building a legacy. And it's really hard to build a legacy at a current company who's owned by someone else, right? It's not like we can just give our future kids a job at our corporate careers that we have now, right? You're talking about having that long-term vision to say, okay, when I'm gone, how can I provide that generational wealth? Because when I'm gone, that means I'm not working at this career anymore, which means my income stream is shot.
Yeah.
So why not build something on my own so that lasts longer than me? Because we know we're on this earth for a limited amount of time, right? Like my mom always says, right, when you're born, you're dying, right? To me, I thought it sounded morbid, but I'm like, no, we all have an expiration date, right?
Exactly.
So what can we build that, you know, can be, you know, long term? And I think one thing that you were talking about too is what you're saying, nurturing your natural talents, right? So when do you think that, or like, when do you think that your abilities to pursue a woman's work came from? Do you think it came from your career? Or do you think you knew when you were a child, you had innate abilities already that you were like, you know what, I know this is going to become something later? Like, when did you know, like, you had your certain abilities that kind of, I don't know, were,
you know,
I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say?
They had that. I do get what you're saying. I think everybody in them deep down, when they close their eyes at night, they think, you know, my life is going to be great one day. And I think I have always kind of felt that way. And at one point in time, I think I thought of it more in a materialistic mindset where I'm like, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to have a pool. I'm going to have, you know, I'm going to have men carrying me down, feed me grapes, you know, some stupid and silly like that. But you get what I'm saying? We're going to have everything that we want out of life. But so much of that has changed for me as I've gotten older, and I've realized that, you know, you have to figure, oh my God, see, here I am again. I think it might be the wine. I need to stop drinking. I went on a whole nother tangent. You asked me one more time. Give it to me one more time.
So like, what were the ability, like, when did you know that, like, you had the abilities to build a woman's work?
So I think in me, throughout my entire life, I always felt like there was going to be more to my life. I was going to be able to reach people and impact people in a way that I couldn't describe at a young age. But as I've gotten older, I've realized, you know, I move through this earth and day to day, and I'm starting to see it for what it is. And it makes me kind of sad, but I think at the same time, it makes me so hopeful and optimistic for my future and everybody else's future. And I think that when I was working that job, it kind of triggered something in me that I always kind of knew was there. But I think when you reach a breaking point, you know, you get a lot of motivation from that breaking point. It's either
Yep.
I don't go on, or and I'm not saying that I was just so bad, but in my breaking point was I was driving one day and I had a full panic attack on the road before I was getting ready to get on the highway. I had to call an ambulance. It was a whole thing. It was very embarrassing. And when I walked out of the hospital, I walked out just fine. And I realized mental health is real. You have to really focus on what makes you happy. And I think that was the moment where I realized, I know I'm not alone here when it comes to, there's no way that I can be the only one who's feeling this immense pressure that I'm putting on myself to be somebody or to be something. And I mean, with social media and YouTube and everything else that's out there where people are just constantly putting their lives out there, you start to feel like, am I doing enough? And I think that wears down on people over time. And when you hit a point where you just can't go back to what it is anymore that you were doing before, you have to make a change. And I think that was when I was working that job, that was the turning point for me. Something I always felt in my heart, but that was the turning point for me. I think when I just got burnt out. I was having health issues. I was starting my MBA program. Like I said, I had a death in the family. My family, they actually moved out of the country. They moved to England. So I was here alone. So it was just a lot that I was processing at the time. And for me to be working to build someone else's dream, it just felt wrong. It just felt like, what am I doing here? What is my purpose? What am I going to be doing in the next 5 years? What am I doing to grow as a person? And I think now more than ever, I know myself and what my potential is and what I want to do. It may not be specific plans long term, but I know the kind of person that I want to be. I'm not sure if I could always have said that in the past. And that is, I think that, like I said, I think that was the turning point for me when I reached that breaking point.
So you're getting some comments in here. Hey, Amber, she said hey to both of us. She said, I am connecting with your story so much. Love you. You're incredibly, incredibly brave. And Sydney said, proud of you, Zakiyyah.
Thanks, Sid. Thank you, Amber.
Again, if you guys have any other comments or questions, feel free to ask it, as this is meant to be very live and interactive. So do you think, Zakiyyah, that people have to reach like a breaking point or a low to get into like a spot where they can like start to like really realize or like rewire their mind to think like, what do I need to do? And like, how can I press forward, right? How can I leave my 9 to 5, or how can I get into more happier space? How do you think people can really take control of their lives?
I think if you surround yourself around people that are like-minded, that is the number one step. When I got into this MBA program, I took a course. It was a week-long course where I had to request time off work because it was all day long, and I was there from 9 to 5. It was a full-time job, and we really grilled into why the world thinks the way that it is, or why people think the way that they do, why the world runs the way that it does, and how can we kind of break that stigma, right? And I think one day I just took a whole day off, and I just started going to different restaurants, businesses, anywhere I could find. And I just started pitching people an idea of a world where we didn't put this much pressure on ourselves to be something, and just kind of tune into our natural talents. And I started to kind of pitch what a woman's work meant to me. And I literally took the whole day, and I realized so many people related to what I was going through. And I talked to women, and they're like, yeah, I would totally buy into something like that. And I would totally love to, leave my current situation. And I think that when I took that course, it helped me so much to just kind of understand where I wanted to be. I think it's important for people to kind of just get around people who think similarly, get into a mindset. If you have a passion or you have a project that you're working on, really dive into it. And I know it's hard because you work a job and you're working 9 to 5 and you're trying to put food on your table, but really dive into it and go to those conferences and go to, those meetups and talk to people, tune into those lives, listen to those podcasts. and really just try to immerse yourself in it and kind of tune out the noise in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I think that that's really helped me to kind of understand who I was and what I wanted out of a career and just how I wanted to live my life day to day. I want to be happy. I want to be happy doing what I do, and I want to be happy to be able to share what I do with other people and empower other women to feel the same way, you know.
And that's true. You shouldn't have to work towards happiness. You should, you should be happy, right? I feel like happiness is something
Yeah,
that we shouldn't spend our whole lives to get to, right? I was watching a movie
exactly.
last night, and that's what somebody in the movie brought up. One of the characters was like, why are you doing all this schooling and everything? So at 30, you feel like you're going to be happy once you achieve all these accomplishments. Why can't you
Right.
be happy today?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what you're saying. So Perry also says, Zakiyyah, you are the GOAT. Love your energy. And the Trill MG said, Cuzzo, what's up, family? So I think you kind of answered my last question, but on your article, right, you said that your business runs on the idea that empowered women empower women. And so one of the things that are on the line that a lot of people talk about is your network, right? Your network is your net worth and all this other stuff. But, birds of a feather always do flock together, right? So surround yourself with successful people. How crucial do you think for your success it is to keep yourself around like-minded people?
I don't think I would be where I am right now if I weren't around people who were gassing me up. And I think um, it's so important to have a tribe in your corner. You have to have people around you, because I learned very quickly with starting this business, you can't do it by yourself. So you have to have people around you who are supporting you. I learned very, very quickly. It knocked me right on my behind, because you have to have people there who are able to support you. And like I said, I had a lot going on. So for me to try and do it all by myself was just not feasible. And whether it's just a friend to run an idea by, or someone who's helping you to develop your marketing material, or just to kind of just talk. I think even people who are just willing to listen
Mm-hmm.
about your ideas and where you want to go, it's so important. You have to have people around you who are supporting you. And if you don't, that's very unfortunate. Come check us out. Come talk to us, because we'll help you out. You know what I'm saying? You have to have people around you. There's no
Right.
way. I can think of so many people. Sydney, I know she commented on there. She helped me with my logo and my design. And Jess, she's my photographer, but she also kind of helps with my branding process. And so, you have to have people who are there to just make you feel comfortable in who you are and what your vision is. And if you don't have that around you, it's not impossible, but in my opinion, it's not impossible, but it makes it damn sure hard. If you
And
don't have
especially those are the people who give you criticism too, right? That's what
Yeah.
I've learned too, right? You need people to gas you up, but you also need people to humble you a little bit, and people that have good intentions, and they're like, hey, like, I mean, I've seen you've been like chilling and everything, but you're slacking. Like, I thought this was your goal, right? Or something comes out and it's like, well, this content doesn't look like up to par, right? You need people to check you every now and again too, which I think is why your circle is so important. Because I mean, we hold ourselves accountable, but when you're in another group and other people are doing stuff, you're like, man, like, that's inspiring. Why
Yeah.
haven't I done this yet?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
All Smile said awesome gems. And you got Tony the Talker said it takes a long time to be yourself. Entrepreneurship is the best route to take to get there. Facts,
So
mom. Facts, mom. And Nerabomb said facts. Oh, we got a question too that
sure.
said, what was the course that you took that you were talking about earlier?
So the course that I took was a social entrepreneurship course, and it talked about the world that we live in, businesses, and the impact that you can make by starting a business. So, for example, you can start a business where you're selling, I don't know, like you can open up a smoke shop, for example. How much of a social impact do you think a smoke shop would actually? I mean, I'm not going to say, because I know a lot of friends on here, they might go to a smoke shop, one day, probably tomorrow, I might go to a smoke shop. You never know. But how much of a social impact is that going to make by starting a business versus actually connecting with people making a difference, collaborating, and building one another and building each other up. And that's really what the course focused on. It was a social entrepreneurship course. And I met a lot of entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurial community is just so supportive. You don't realize it. Even if you're not making a ton of money, they give you shout outs. They really try to help support you. Even if there's not really much that they can do, at least they spread the word. And I think that was really what it taught me, was like, wow, the power of just people coming together to lift each other up, to send some positivity in the world when it comes to business. You know, it's not always about making money. Like I said earlier, we give money too much power over our happiness. And if you're working and you're doing something that you enjoy and you love, you know, if I were to go full time with a woman's work right now, no doubt I would be taking a pay cut. But I think at the end of the day, it's something I've really truly considered doing, because I have recently been impacted by COVID, not myself, but to someone that I know, and I have not been able to work, go into work because of that. I've been taking time off, and it really gave me a chance just see how much I can do in a time where it challenged me to really push myself. And I think that if you just kind of take time to realize who you are and what you want, and just kind of work towards it and keep going with it and develop it and just nurture it, you see how much you can really accomplish. And I don't know, once again, I have gone completely off the rails.
That's great. I think you're telling people too, right? Like sometimes a lot of people, or not want to say a lot of people, but some people don't know exactly what they want to do, right? And some people do know, but they don't know how to make that into a career, or how to make that into a full-time business, or to make money off of it. And I think what you're saying too is telling people, like, sit down and just assess yourself, right? Realize what you want. What do you want to get out of it? What do you value? What do you put most important? And like you talked about earlier, nurturing your skills. So what are your skills, right? What do you just love doing? And how can you make that into a career? And it's already, if it's not a career, how can you make it your own career?
Right.
And then, oh, Amber said, do it, jump. You got this. We believe in you.
Yeah, thanks, Amber. I appreciate you. I'll look for another care package girl when I'm struggling.
I need to connect you. I have a friend who got on this live too. Her name is Candace. That's what she did. She used to work for the full-time company I did, and she left.
I know Candace. Candace Armour.
Yes.
Epic Fab girl, right? That's her.
Yes, correct.
I know Candace. So yeah, reconnect me. I love to. I love Candace. She was really cool. We lost touch, but I would love that. Yeah.
And so why are you so it seems like I can just, you're exuding all this passion, right? For just being able to give back, and for your company. So what makes you so passionate about a woman's work?
I think because when I was going through all of this, I wish that I had someone there to guide me through, and just a little bit about what the workshop is that I do. So my business is primarily through workshops and then consultations. So the workshops, you go in and you meet people, you have lunch, you have mimosas, but then we also talk about goals. We set those goals, and then you leave there with an actual business plan. And it's an all-day workshop, but you leave there with so much, and maybe even a little buzz. And then also, you know, what I would like to do in the future is the online courses as well, which is something I'm working on. And there's a workbook that goes along with that, and it's an interactive process. So you use the workbook to go through the course. And when you're done with the course, you leave with an actual business plan. And so before I even considered going into my master's program, I don't know if I would have pursued my master's program. I learned a lot. I'm not going to knock it. I learned so much from the program. I gained so much from that program. However, for people who don't have that opportunity, you know, I always wish that I could give that to someone else. I've talked to so many women. I have so many friends and just acquaintances that have been in situations where they're just so unhappy with their work. And I was once there, and I understand that feeling. And when you feel like you have nowhere else to go and you have no clue even where to start, that was what I think really drove me to create a woman's work. and to create an environment where women felt comfortable to talk about their struggles and to also work towards collaboration and build each other up and to help provide resources and connect them with people who can assist them and maybe even work together to develop their business ideas, but then also leave the workshop with a tangible, piece of something that they can take with them that can help guide them through the process of starting their business, whether it's just understanding what it is that they want to do. If they have an idea, just putting it to paper and just running it by someone. And like I said earlier, when you're around people who are like-minded, it really does help you so much. And I think that's really what I wanted to bring to people who don't have that. And I think at one point I didn't have that. And now that I do, and I kind of have that network, why not share that, that wealth?
Right.
Some people think of wealth as money, but I think of that as wealth, sharing that knowledge, and I don't know. I think that there's just room for so many people. It's room for everybody to be successful. And I think when I was working that 9-to-5 job, the previous job, you just didn't trust people, and people would kind of step on you to get ahead and kind of throw you under the bus. And that was just such a horrible, horrible work environment.
Sounds like a buzzkill.
Yeah, it is a buzzkill. And when you think about removing yourself from that and getting around people who are constructive and, they provide feedback and they want to help you, it's a no-brainer. It's an easy switch. It's an easy investment in your happiness. And I think that so many people don't even know that that's an option. And if they think of it as an option, they have no idea where to start. And so that's, I think, really what motivated me to even do this in the first place.
And your workshops also seem like, I don't want to call it a forced network, but like you put people in positions to network, right? So it's not like the people have to go to meetups or do conferences or try to reach out to somebody on Instagram if that's not their nature, right? No, not everyone is an extrovert and like willing to put themselves out there. But I think for what you're doing, right, everyone has the same goal in mind, right? Like I want to start a business, or I want to network, or I want to learn more and figure out what I want to do. So when everyone's there, you can find someone else that's like at your similar level, right? And it's like, oh, I'm not the one that's just crazy, right? Like I'm not crazy, right? I'm just crazy among my friends because I'm not in the right group where everyone's at the same kind of level of thinking.
Exactly. And I think that's another reason why I don't really want my workshops to be more than 20 people, because I want it to be more intimate, and I really want it to be a comfortable space for women to just talk about their ideas and talk about some of their insecurities, talk about their challenges that they're working through, obstacles, and then work towards how we can overcome them together. And, somebody over here might have a skill that someone over here doesn't have. How can we work together to kind of bring our knowledge together to build something great? And like I said, we do provide some structural guidance through that process, but just to even connect with people, like you said before, who are like-minded, it really does. It's a magical experience. It is. It's a magical experience because you're watching people connect, and you're watching them find that happiness that I found through this. And it was such a long time coming, and I don't think I realized it. And when you're just kind of sitting and you're thinking like, I'm really worth a lot, but I don't really know how to even market that. Like, I don't even know how to promote myself, but I know that I can do this and I can do a little bit of that. I can do a little bit of that. You kind of can cater to whatever it is that you want to do, and you can kind of make that package your own and sell it. I think everybody is unique, and we should be able to highlight those traits. Why not?
And then we have imposter syndrome, right? I think in the world, right? So people start off when you're 16 or whatever, you have a regular job. Hourly jobs, like what, I don't know, $10 an hour now or something like that. I don't know what it is in Chicago, but like, let's say that's it, right? And then it's like, okay, if the world values me at $10 an hour and I'm trying to charge a service at $75 an hour, like, what am I really bringing, right? Am I really bringing this to the table? Am I really providing this value? And then it's like, we have imposter syndrome. Do I really know what I'm talking about? Like, what am I doing? I feel like a lot of us have that fear, right? That fear of just being like, no, you define your worth, right? Like, and you are valuable, and it's okay to value yourself there, right? Don't give people discounts. And it's back to where we're like, oh, that's a cute outfit you got. Oh, I got it from Ross for only $5. Like, no, just say thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, that imposter syndrome is real. I definitely go through it. I've gone through it and I still go through it today. You know, I think you just really have to remember who you are and validate what you're feeling, but then keep going. Like keep it pushing. I think there's a lot of times, like when I did my first event, I was terrified. And I'm sure people probably noticed, but you know, you think about it like, why are these people here to listen to me, and what makes me so special, what makes me unique? And I think you really just look within and see, and just realize what you're there for and the value that you're bringing. Like you want people to understand the value that you're bringing to them. When they leave, what are they taking away? And I think if you're feeling that imposter syndrome, think of it that way. What is it? And I go back to my whole business planning model that I have. But that's a big part of it, is understanding what it is that your mission is. What are you trying to do? And then what's the value that you're bringing? And I think if you continue to push that value and understand, somebody's going to buy into that. Someone's going to understand, you know, that this is something worth listening to. And you may not get everybody, but I mean, hey, you got to try. Nothing beats a fail but a try, right?
Right, that's very true. You giving the business class already, talking about value propositions and everything. Look at you.
Yeah.
You putting it all for the free on the line. That's great.
A little bit for the free, little sprinkle there. Yeah, exactly.
With Heart Creative Studio said the last workshop was awesome.
Oh, thanks, Sid.
And by the way, you guys, workshop is with an E, no O.
Work.
Yes. Yes. And so Nikki asked, what is the future outlook of a woman's work?
Ooh, so like I said, I really want to go online. I think also, not just because of what's going on, that was something that I always wanted to pursue. It's just the online platform, selling courses. So that way it's convenient for people. If they're not able to come to a workshop, go online and you can still get those tips, you know. I just want it to be convenient for people, to be able to access that information. And but I also would like to create more quarterly workshops once everything with COVID is over. Quarterly workshops, and I would like to do a conference where we just kind of come together and motivate one another. And I think other female entrepreneurs just kind of come together and talk about some of the struggles, similar to what we're talking about now. And like I said, creating that environment where it's okay to just talk about some of the things that were our challenges, obstacles, how we overcame them, and just motivate and lift each other up.
And I think we need a lot of that, right? Like, especially in our community. And they talk about how Black women, right, are we're like being the best entrepreneurs at this point. We're starting our own companies and running, right? But I feel like it's hard for us because I don't think the world puts us in positions to come together all the time, right? To have mind melds. They teach us to be a boss on our own and run our own thing. And that's it. And maybe you can talk to people like, yeah, I'm doing this for my business, or maybe you can help me out here, but we don't like strategize together. And it's like you're saying, right, when we come together, and like there's enough opportunities for everybody.
People are stingy like they're fruit snacks or something. It's like you got to share this information. I don't understand it. And I don't want to say I hate women who are like that. I don't hate them, but I just don't understand it. There's truly so much room for everybody to be successful. If you're throwing an event, someone here could help you provide the wine if you give them a shout out. You know, you could just, it's so many opportunities there where everybody can be successful. And to put someone down to get ahead, like I said, gross business earlier, to me, that's gross business. I think, if anything, this is the time for everybody to uplift one another and change the way that we view women in business. That's all.
And she doesn't mean gross like gross sales. She means gross like disgusting.
Like disgusting. Yes, gross.
Nikki said that workshop was actually really great. Highly recommend it. How can people stay connected with you, right? How, for any upcoming things that you have, or people can follow you online? I also saw from your website you have like a podcast and a blog and other things. Like, how can people stay connected with that?
Oh my goodness. So that is definitely a work in progress. But if you go on my website, you can also subscribe, and you can you'll receive updates, anything that we have coming up. So if there's any workshops or any online courses that are coming out, just go in, leave any comments or your email address, and then we will be sure to update you. My email address is contact@awomenswork.com. And then you can also reach me at my website at www.awomenswork.com.
Beautiful. And I put her Instagram too down there. So can people DM you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Danielle said, yep, we can all eat. Facts. We
Yes.
definitely can. So earlier
Yes.
you talked about, right, how a lot of things are piling on top of each other and you got very stressed out, right? Where you said you talked about your panic attack earlier. And so I want you to touch on briefly too, like about mental health, right? And like how people can start to make time for themselves. So I feel like in business, we don't really highlight your emotional state. And someone told me about that earlier. They're like, Brittany, you read so many business books, but do you ever read a lot of self-help books about happiness and relationships? I'm like, oh no, I don't. I always thought that was like an innate thing, right? But you always have to grow and build that. Can you talk about how you like build your mental health and your sanity?
Yeah. It's something I still struggle with to this day, but I have to keep myself grounded in what my beliefs are and what truly makes me happy and what makes me feel comfortable. And I don't know. I think I always kind of remind myself that we have one life to live. How do we want to remember it? How do we want to go through our life day to day? If you're thinking about your life in the future, like everybody sets goals for themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking 5 years from now, this is how I want to be. I want to have this house and I want to have this and I want to have that and I want to have that. You know, those are things I think it's important to keep ourselves motivated, yes, but realistically. And stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to be something that's just not feasible. I think I have to continuously give myself those reminders, especially the world that we're in now where it's just so digital. Everything online is just a constant reminder that, like, I've been for the longest wanting to start a YouTube page for like recipes or this or that. And, you know, I love the idea of doing that. But right now where I'm at, I don't know if that's something that I would want to do. I think I need to be in a space where I'm ready for it. Mm-hmm. And to continuously put this pressure on myself to be something just for the sake of keeping up with the times, I have to really take a step back and understand, what is it that I really want? What is going to make me feel happy, comfortable, safe in my space? Mm-hmm. And I think we have to constantly give ourselves that reminder, and also give ourselves a reminder of what we're grateful for, what we're thankful for. Gratitude is so important. Every day, I just wake up and I give myself just a little reminder of something that I'm thankful for. And it just makes you realize that all of your problems that you think are problems are really just not all that bad. You know, I don't know. There are things that happen day to day that I'm just like, man, this sucks. Or, God, they ran out of my favorite donut at the gas station. It's just like stupid stuff, you know.
or just a worry.
Yeah, that's just like, it's not even a worry. And then you realize, like, okay, this is actually not that bad. My life is actually pretty awesome. I have people in my life. My family they're always there to back me up. My friends are always there, and I have no real issues. And my health is good. You know, just appreciate where you are and just kind of take a moment to see where you are in the world. How are you feeling? Just check in with yourself. I think that's so important.
Man, I think
that mental health is so big.
You're hitting on stuff too that I feel like you'll see it on like a quote on Instagram, but you'll touch over it, right? Where people are like, stop comparing yourselves to others. And it's like, yeah, I understand, right? It's like, oh, fear of missing out. Oh, okay, yeah, I get it. But when you think about it, right, like you're saying, right, I'll look on Instagram, it's like, oh, cool, there's this trip to this great fancy island that you have to go to in 1 month, right? Like, oh, okay, you have to learn about being a YouTuber so you can monetize here. Oh, you have to invest in a property tomorrow. Oh, where's that boyfriend that you need to say that prayer for, right? Like, yeah. all these things that are coming, and you're like, wow,
and
I don't have this.
You put yourself in debt and everything for that. You're putting yourself behind just to meet up with those expectations and pressures. And I think it's important for us to take a step back and question why those are even pressures for us. And are they even important? Is it even important? Are you gonna, if you don't start that YouTube channel tomorrow, or if you don't have that man that your dream man by tomorrow, are you not gonna be breathing because of that situation? No, your life is still great. It will go on. appreciate the things that you have and just focus on what you do have and highlight on those moments. And I think if you remove yourself from that negativity, you, like I said, you surround yourself around good people. I think that's really what helped me, is you surround yourself with good people. Like I know Nicole, she was on here, and Alexis from my MBA program. They were huge pieces to, as far as motivating me and gassing me up and making me feel like I could do whatever that I wanted to do. And my family, my fiance, you know, they all helped me to realize, like, okay, you may have these things about you, these insecurities, but you are still who you are, and I know who you are. And I'm not saying look for validation from other people, but just kind of understand who you are and surround yourself around people who also understand who you are. That's all I'm saying.
I love that. And what other advice do you think you would give to people, or even women? Let me be specific: women who want to start their own business.
Okay, so there are like 6 pieces that I talk about in my workshop. So the first one is understand and have a business plan. If you don't have a business plan, if you don't understand what your mission is, if you don't understand like your vision, who you're targeting, all of those pieces, it's going to come back to bite you in the end, right? Have a plan. And like I said, if you don't have that, if you don't know how to do that, that's something that we can help you with. The next thing is just know who you're marketing to, know your market, know your target audience, understand who you're trying to reach. And going back to the business plan piece, like I said before, earlier in the live, know the value that you're presenting to people, right? When they leave after using your product or your service, what value are they taking away with them? Let's see. The next one is don't overspend. I monitor those finances, sis. I definitely, for my first event, I went ham. I was like, I'm going to have this. I'm going to have glitter. I'm going to have balloons. I'm going to have free work. I mean, I had everything. And it was wonderful. It was beautiful. I loved it. And I left there and I realized, like, I did not make what I should have made from this, right? Like, I went all in because I wanted to be.
You were happy.
I was happy, but not at the end, when I was, trying to count them checks. I was like, this is not at all. I invested a lot more into this. And so the next piece going into that is, understand your wealth, understand your worth, and charge for that, right? If you want that return on investment. So if you are, investing a lot into a program or a service, charge for that. I'm not saying you want to get people for their money, but you have to also understand the worth of your product. And if you don't express that, people won't believe it. And I think for me, like, for example, if I'm investing a ton of money into an event and I'm only charging people $15 for a ticket, for me, for my event, what I do is I provide lunch. You have unlimited mimosas. You have a professional headshot that you get to leave with, and you have a business plan that you leave with. All of those things, you think about what you're investing in that time to create all of that, and you need to charge for that. And I'm not saying that you're trying to get back on people, get over on people for their money. But at the same time, it's an investment. It's a business. You're investing time into it, and you want to make it something that's valuable. And you need to make it known that it is a valuable piece. Going back to that imposter syndrome, you have to understand the product that I'm putting out is worth quite a bit. Like I said, I went through the master's program, and I'm learning everything that I learned from the master's program. I'm putting into my program, and you're getting some really crucial information for starting a business for a very affordable price. And so I think, to me, people just have to understand that whatever it is that you're selling, sell it for what it's worth. And don't ever back down on that. You know what you're worth. You know what it's worth. And it goes back to your happiness and everything else. You know what you're worth. You know the time that you're putting into something, and you want people to understand it. And they will. They will understand it. They understand what the energy and the time that you're putting into making it something that's special and that's that will work for them, I'm trying to think of what are the other ones. That was only 3 or 4 that I gave you. I said there
You
were
put
6.
understand, have a business plan, know your market, know the value, don't overspend, understand your worth.
Okay, let me see. Because I have little talking points here too. Because I was like, I know how I get, especially when I've had a glass of wine. And then also protect your assets. So anything
Ooh,
you have, whether it is your logo or your business name, you want to make sure that you're protecting those things so that other people are not out here trying to be you. You know what I'm saying?
trademark, please.
Trademark, yes. So all of those things, and just the legal piece of it, financial piece of it, marketing, understanding your business, and just truly understanding the purpose behind your business and why you want to do it. You know, that imposter syndrome will go away when you really stand by that mission. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Oh, and then the last thing, know the people in your corner. I know we talked about this earlier, but have those people in your corner, those key players in your business.
Mm.
I don't necessarily have a staff, but I collaborate with other female entrepreneurs, and I know I
Mm-hmm.
can rely on them, and I know that they're in my corner to assist me with anything. And then I give them business by shouting them out. And so anytime that, like I said, that whole supportive piece, if you are supporting one another, you can lean on one another. It's a reliable source of information. And you know, like I said, everybody can eat. Who said that earlier? Everybody has
Oh yeah,
we can
Danny,
put
yeah.
in. Yeah, you know, everybody can eat here. You know, so yeah, just have people in your corner who are there to support you. I think that's all of it.
You
All of
talked about your past event, and we had a comment that said you actually killed it. You really killed it though for your event.
it. Oh,
uh,
thanks.
we got a comment saying great gems. We got a question saying how do you tell people, or how would you know what your charges are for your event, right? So how can you figure that out?
So you really have to think about what you're putting into it, right? Think about the amount of time that you're putting into it. Think about the amount of money that you're putting into it. I started this business without really much assistance besides my parents. Like my parents helped me, but not really. They helped me out a lot, but my mom was like, it was like a surprise donation of like $200, and it helped me. Yes, I'm not trying to sound unappreciative if my mom was watching. I appreciate you, mom, but you know, it was just like I had to really come up with the funding, and I think if you are, God, I just one more time. What was the
Lost your
question?
train of thought.
I sure did. I keep doing this. I
How
don't
do
know
you
what's wrong.
it's okay. How do you charge for your events? You're talking about
That's
time and
it.
money.
Okay. So I think if you understand what you're putting together as a package, the value in the package, you want to be able to make a profit off of whatever it is that you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you want to make back what you have invested in the product, and then some. And so it's up to you to determine whether or not that then some is an additional $15 above, $40 above. That's completely up to you. I find it important for me to make it something that's affordable for women to be able to have access to this information. And so I think if you just minimally, if you meet what you've invested into the product,
Mm-hmm.
and then some, you get to determine what that then some is, if that makes sense. Um,
That's a great answer.
yeah.
Then we got another question that says advice for securing sponsorships for events.
Um, Definitely so a little bit back into what I talked about earlier, and this kind of goes into your previous question about knowing the value in the product. I went earlier in the live, I talked about how I went from business to business, and I just kind of talked to people, right? You have to get out there. I think a lot of people are nervous to hear the word no. You have to
Mm-hmm.
get out there and just talk to people. It like I said before, nothing beats a fail but a try. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to hear 1,000 no's, right? But you have to just keep going, keep going. And you also have to talk about how we can help each other. Go into it with the mindset of supporting them. You're not just going there to get something from them. Let's figure out a way to work together, right?
Right.
And those sponsorships can be huge when it comes to your events and charging for your events, right? If you're saving $1,000 because of on an event because of a sponsorship, because they've donated something to your event, and you're giving them a shout out, you're working together. And then that goes into the return on investment, right? You're investing into something, but then you can charge that and then some that I was talking about earlier. You can charge a little bit more with that and then some, because you are now collaborating with other people and you're lifting one another up, and everybody has an opportunity to eat at the table. Everybody gets a seat at the table, right?
Right.
So I think if you just go into it with the mindset of not what can you do for me, but how can we help each other, that's huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I like to round out the lives, right, by asking who's being great in your life. So I want you to say, it's not just one person, right, but who, and you can mention as many people as you want, but who is being great in your life, whether it's like mentally helping you, like, or influencing you, or someone you see that's like being very successful right now that's just pushing you.
Definitely my family. My fiance, he's huge. Like, even just now, he's like setting it up. He poured my glass of wine and everything before everything happened, before we even started this live. So he's a huge piece of my sanity day to day. But then my parents, my family, my brother, and then his girlfriend, Sydney, with Heart Creative Studio, I think I'm sorry, Sid, if I butchered it, but follow her, guys. She helped me tremendously with just my marketing materials and also my logo and just design piece. I want to give a shout out to Jessie Dorr. She's my photographer, and she is someone that I confide in just as far as my vision with my business. She gives me advice as well. And then there are a few other people that I follow. Slay Girl Slay, it's a podcast that I listen to. And she's just so relatable. Her name is Ashley Legs. I don't know her personally, but she's great. Like, she just she touches on the imposter syndrome. And then just also kind of just coming to terms with who you are, and just it's okay to kind of step away from it and take a look at it and reapproach things. And that was huge with the developmental pieces, the developmental time with my business. I listened to her and she helped me out tremendously. And then Marty with Boss Women Media. She is out of Dallas, Texas. I go to the Boss, the Boss Women's Brunch that she has every year. And I don't know if they're even going to do one this year, but it's in Dallas. It's huge. I saw Angela Rye. She was the keynote speaker that night. Yeah, it was great. And you just kind of get all this information. It's the collaboration, those events. Just like I said before, surround yourself around people who are like-minded. And I think those were the main people who helped me just kind of realize, like, everything that I'm thinking is valid. And you really are a boss. Like, you can do whatever you want to do. And I think everybody should have somebody like that around.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm coming with you to brunch next year when we're going to Dallas.
Right. Yeah.
So Instagram says we have 1:20 left, but I want to thank you so much for being so transparent and open, talking about your journey, giving people tips, right? Actionable insights, and sharing everything like that. This has been very awesome speaking with you for the hour.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, thank you so much.
And I appreciate you having me, even with my glass of wine. I don't know what I couldn't even tell you what I said, but I hope that you all take whatever it is that I said and turn it into some type of value, because I'm celebrating my master's program, y'all. Thank you for tuning in.
Turn those grapes into wine.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yes. So
all right. Well, thank you guys for asking the questions too and tuning in. Yeah. And yeah, I'll save this and I'll put it on YouTube and I'll send you the link.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Yeah, take it easy. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.